Okay, so this is ITS148, and today is February 26th, and I said I would, we finished with chapter 9, I think, and let me just share my screen here. I will share this screen. I'll optimize for this, share the screen, and let me put this down here, let me put this over here, and let me put this down here. And so we're at assignment 6, and assignment 5 and assignment 6 I don't think are due yet. So I think most of you handed in the rest of them earlier. Of course, as you know, you can always hand stuff in late. It's just that you don't get to resubmit. And so I want to encourage everybody to hand everything in. I don't want to ever say, sorry, you can't hand it in. Sorry, you cannot do that work, and that's kind of counterproductive. So I thought I'd go over. So we're done with the chapter. We are done. We're done with chapter. We finished chapter 9 last time because it's kind of a short chapter, and so today I said I would go over the last couple assignments, and then we need to have a midterm sometime. So I'm gonna come up with a midterm. This thing here, 15%. So that's like I don't know. Maybe it's like 3 times an assignment, I guess, in points. So it'll probably be so it'll be cumulative, as they say. So I'm going to come up with something that sort of includes, well, it's not that, well, actually everything includes what we did before, but see, let's look at a question. Let's look at assignment 5. This was, in this assignment 5, we made a little calculator here, and you enter in some stuff, or you enter in 2 operands and an operator, and it calculates the result based on what the operands and the operator are. And part 1, you relied on exception handling to detect input errors. And for part 2, you actually got in there and did your own data validation. So you did not rely so much on exception handlers, although you should still stick an exception handler in there for maybe some obscure errors that can pop up. But it's better to have control over your program rather than to rely on exception handling. Why? Oh, I don't know. It just is. We tell you that. And then for assignment 6, it was you enter in a bunch of scores, and and then you either enter them into an array, and it calculates you know, this total, the count, and the average. And then part 2, instead of entering it into an array, you replace the array with a list, and it should accomplish the same thing. So obviously, when I grade these assignments, I'm going to have to go in and look to see how you implement each one. And so you're going to implement 2. They're going to hand in 2 projects. So for assignment 5 and assignment 6, you're actually going to hand in 2 projects. Unless you want to figure out some clever way to do both of them in one assignment, you're welcome to do that too if you want to. You want to have a multi-form something or other. So So I don't know. The midterm could be something like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I kind of like this idea of a calculator. So maybe I'll make something where you have a calculator, but it looks more like a calculator. You got the buttons there, and you got a thing on top to show the result. I can't remember if it was this class. I can't remember if it was 128 last semester or 148 last semester. But did I do a calculator thing last semester in 128? Did I have you guys make a calculator where you had to put buttons on it and everything? No, okay, so that must have been 148. Well, I'm not going to make it so sophisticated where you have to be able to handle parentheses. Okay, I don't want to do that. It's kind of a disaster last semester. So you're just gonna have simple operands, and then something like this. But then I do want to combine something with assignment 6. So maybe I'll have it be like like a ribbon calculator, like in the old days when they had ribbons, and it sort of it showed the result of all your calculations kind of on a ribbon. It's okay, maybe something like that. Yeah, and so you'll have this output thing like this, or you can display your calculations or something. And so you still got to store stuff. And maybe it'll be a list, and not because you'll probably store a text string, store some text. I don't know. Maybe you could do it in arrays. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll give you the choice. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But and that would combine these two assignments, and then what else do we have here? What's this? Oh, this is just a simple calculator. Oh, okay. I might add modulo. I think I'll add modulo. And then what's assignment 3? Oh, change calculator. That was interesting. Okay. All right. So let's go to assignment 5, and let's see what it looks like to make these. Oh shit! Did I do assignment 5 or assignment 6? Huh? 6? Huh? You're working on part 2 of 5. Okay. Why don't I? Well, it probably won't take me. Okay, so I've got an hour here. So why don't I do? Why don't I get you started on 5 on part 2 of 5, and then I'll switch over and I'll do some of 6. Okay, so for part 2 of 5, let me bring up Visual Studio. All right, so we got to start out by making something like this, this thing. So I'm gonna put this like over here, and I'll put this over here, and I'll start a new project. New project, and it's going to be a Windows format, and I think I'll put it down in my thaw space here. Oh, did I start something already? Maybe I did. And I'm going to name it assignment 5 5-2. So I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to put this up here because I like seeing properties like that. I'm going to open up my toolbox. I'm going to pin my toolbox. And I'm going to, okay, so you want to make sure you do all this extra stuff where you put your name up here and everything. So I'm going to do operand 1. Let's see, let me throw some labels over here. Label. This is going to say, I'm going to make it bigger. Say operand 1. Oh, name is going to be, doesn't have, that's okay. The text is going to say operand 1. And I'm going to make it bigger, like 14 or something. And I'm going to make a text box right here. And maybe I'll make this also bigger. And I'm going to name this something like, because I'm going to want to refer to it. And I'm going to name it txt operand 1. And so that's operand 1. And I'm going to grab this thing and I'm going to copy, paste for operator, and paste again for operand 2, and paste again for result. So this is going to be operand 2. This might be operator, and this might be result. Make this operator, and this is going to be operand 2, and this is going to be result. And I'm going to make this so you can't write to it. So I'm going to make it read only. And I'm going to make this smaller. And I'm going to, this is already called operand 1. I'm going to call this txt operator. I'm going to make this txt operand 2. And I'm going to make this txt result. And then I'm going to add a calculate button right here. And I think I'll make it calculate. And I think I will make it also bigger, like 14. And let me name it BTN and calculate. And I'm going to make a copy of it, put it over here, and I'm going to make this say exit. First I'm going to name it BTN exit, and then I'm going to make it say exit. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to throw that event handler in here by double clicking on it. And I'm going to say this close. Okay, so now I got that in there. And so let's start adding some data here. First of all, let's add is valid data. Is valid data. So let's go. Let me put this up over here, and put this here. And let me go over here, and I'm going to create a method called public bool, because I'm going to return a Boolean true or false, is valid data. And then I'm going to want to return, I can just do this, be fancy here. And what I'm going to return is, I got to make some other stuff first. I'm just going to put that there temporarily. I got to make some other methods that I'm going to use for this method. Public, let's get my fingers in the right place. Public bool, I'm going to return a Boolean, is present. And I want to bring in a text box, and I'm going to name it text box. Is the name. And it's also a string which says what it is. Name of the text box. And that's going to be if text box dot text equals nothing, then I want to display out a message box show name, that's this name up here, is a required field. And then for the title, I'm just going to say entry error. That's the title on top of this message box. And then I'm going to return the focus back to text box, whatever that is. So I'm going to pass in a text box. I'm going to pass in the name of the text box. That's going to be operand 1 or operand 2. And this is going to test to see that the user actually filled something in. This should be a space here. So the name of this method is present. It tests to see if the operand is present. Okay, and I'm not using it yet. That's why it's it's got squiggly, because I haven't used it yet. See, it says is not all code path. Oh, it's not why it's squiggly. It's because I have to return a Boolean value. And I haven't returned anything yet. So if it's empty, I'm going to return false. However, if I don't return false, okay. So if it's empty, it's going to execute this, then it's just going to return false. So that means it'll never get down here. So right here, I can just return true, because it'll never get here unless it's true. Why? Because it'll get intercepted here. I can also do this. That's where it goes. I don't like this better. So if the text box is not empty, you return true, because it's present, because there's something present. Otherwise, you display out an error message and you put the focus back to the text box to put something in it, and it'll be true. Okay, so that's one test. We're going to test to see if the operand is present, and then we're also going to test to see if the operand is actually a decimal number. We're going to test to see if the operand can be converted to a decimal number. So in other words, if the person enters in XXX, then it'll pass is present, but we don't want it to pass that it's a number. So this test to see if the text box was filled with anything, and then I'm going to do a public. My fingers in the right place. Public bool is decimal, because it's got to be a decimal number. And again, I'm going to bring this stuff in there. Paste. And so this is going to test to see if it's present. So I'm going to start out with, I have to declare, I'm going to use try parse. So I have to declare an out variable first. So I'm going to declare a decimal out number, and I'm going to just set it equal to 0, 0 money, and then I'm going to do if decimal try parse, and then I'm going to bring in this text box, this one. It's going to read in the text box text and output out number. And if this is if the try parse works, I don't have to return the number. It's just test to see if it works. I say return true. Otherwise, I want to do an error. I want to say message box. I'm going to bring this down because you probably can't see it. Message box. Show the name of what I passed in is what the text box is. This is going to be operand 1 or operand 2. Plus must be a decimal number. And then I'm going to say entry error as the title of the message box. And then I'm going to return the focus to that text box so you can give the user a chance to type in a better number, and then I'm going to return false. So this does the test to see if it's decimal. This does the test to see if it's present. And the last test I got to do to see if it's in a proper range. And the proper range is gonna be the smallest decimal number you could have and the biggest decimal number you can have. So it's possible to type in numbers it's possible to type in a series of digits that would convert into a number that's too big, or a series of digits with a minus sign in front of it, or whatever, or decimal point and a bunch of zeros and a minus sign in front of it that's going to be too small of a number. So we want to test for that. So I'm going to go down underneath here and type in one more test, public bool is within range. And again, I'm going to pass in the text box and then the string for the name of the text box. And I got to pass in some range. Why am I passing that in? I'm going to let it pass in. I'm going to pass in a range. So it's going to be the program is going to define the range. The range will be defined by the caller. What I do here? The range is going to be called by the caller. And what do I use as the range? Is valid data. Is valid data. Yeah, okay, I have a range, a nice range. Smaller range here, okay, that's fine. All right, so I'm going to pass it in. Decimal min number, decimal max number. So that'll be the range. And so what I got to do now is I'm going to have a new number, decimal number, some decimal number equals convert to decimal, text box, text. So when is within range is called, we're going to have already called the previous two tests, okay? So we're going to already have called isDecimal, and isDecimal should be true. So if we already know it's a decimal number, then we don't need to do any kind of try parsing. We can just convert the dang thing, okay? So I'm going to convert, so I'm going to read it, convert it into a number, and so this is going to be right here. This is, I'm going to call it number. And then I'm going to test if number is less than or equal to this min number, or, okay, so I'm testing if it's outside the range. If the number is smaller than the valid minimum number I want to have, or the number is greater than, I'm going to say it's greater than, I'm not going to have this equal sign. If it's smaller than min number, or it's greater than max number, then we have a problem. And I'm going to say message box show name plus must be between plus the minimum number plus and plus the maximum number. Max number. Okay, and the top is going to say entry error. So that's what the message box is going to say. I don't know why this is squiggly. Why? Because message box only has 2 S's. And then I want to put the text box focus back so we can fix it. Give the user a chance to fix it, and then return false because it is not within the range. Otherwise, it's within the range, and we can just say return true. Okay, so those are our 3 tests. Now that we've had our 3 tests, we can actually write this isValidData thing here. And this is where we can say Boolean isValidData. And we don't need to pass any parameters in here. And what we're going to return is not this. We're going to return, now, is present, is decimal, and is within range. These are all Boolean values. These are going to return Boolean values. So we can just have a big, huge Boolean expression. That's one way we can do it. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to say bool return value. I'm going to do it this way. And so I'm going to say I'm going to start up by saying, I'll do this. I'll return. I do it this way. I'm not taking advantage of. All right, I'll do it this way. I'll just equals true. Boolean return value equals true. Now, if return value and is present text, and so I can pass operands here. So text operand 1, and so I'm just passing in this text operand. if there's a value present, and I'm gonna have, so now I pass in the name, operand 1. No, I don't need to do it this way. I'll do it this way. Return value. If return value then return value equals that. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so we started with return value equals true, and then we test if is present. If return value is true, of course it's going to be true because we just set it to true. So this is always going to be true. This first one's always going to be true. So if it's true, then we set then we set whether or not the text operand 1 contains something typed in. Okay, so if return value is still true, then return value equals is decimal. I'm gonna I'm gonna change this. No, I'm gonna do it this way. If not return value, then return false. I don't need this either. This is called coding on the fly. Sorry, you guys. Okay, I'm going to start out by defining a value called return value, and I'm going to set it equal to whether or not there is an operand present in text operand 1 text box. Then I'm going to say if not return value, then return false. That means it was set to false. That means there was nothing typed into text operand 2. And then I'm going to say return value equals this. And then I'm going to say, okay, so I'm doing it differently than the book has, than the solution in the book. See, I'm just sort of doing it a different way here. Instead of having a great big long Boolean expression, I'm going to do it like one step at a time. So first I define this value called return value, and I set it equal to is present, to whether or not text operand 1 is present. And then I tested it. If return value was set to false because it's not present, then I return false. And so if I return false, then I return false, and it doesn't go any further. So the only way it's going to come down here is if it's still true, or if it's true, if this is true. So then I'm going to set return value equal to whether or not text operand 1 is a decimal value. If it's not a decimal value, it's going to be false, and it's going to return true. And then otherwise, I'm going to say return value All right, I'm going to change it again. Sorry. These guys have already done it. I just. Huh? Oh, you haven't done it yet? Okay. I'm going to just do this again. Sorry. If this, don't worry, this is going to be easier. If not, that return false. I don't need this. If not, this return false. What am I doing? Return this. Return this. What's going on? Why is this? Why does it look like that? Huh? Oh, because you're only supposed to have one return? That sucks. So I guess I have to have it the other way. I guess I have to have it the way I was going to do it. All right. Do it this way then. If return false. If, does this work? Return false. Is that working? Yeah, that's working. Okay, so this is decimal that, and then what's the third one I got to test? I got to test if it's within range. Uh-oh, why are those squigglies? Why are these squiggly? Do I have to do this? Will that make it unsquiggly? All right, gee whiz, they make it so tough for you. If not is within range, text operand, oops, txt operand, 1, operand, 1. Oh, I know why it was, because I got one of these. So then maybe I don't need this then. Yeah. All right. There's that. Why is this squiggly? Oh, because I got to pass some more stuff in here. I got to pass the range. I'm going to make it, it's got to be between 0 and, don't tell me, 100, a million. No, 100,000. Comma, 100,000. There we go. A million? All right. Yeah. Yeah, right. 6 zeros. Okay. Okay, so there. I got to do text operand 2, don't I? Two. Okay. And don't I have to don't I have to do the operators? Oh, I guess that's just taken care of inside the code. Okay. I guess, okay, so anyway, so there's my test to see if everything's valid. All right. Yeah, okay, I'll do operators in here too. If operator if txt, I'm going to set a variable value. String operator, I can't use that, operator spelled differently, equals txt operator dot text if op, I'm going to say op, easier, shorter. If op is not equal to plus or op is no and op is not equal to minus, and if op is not equal to multiply, and if op is not equal to divide, then return false. Yeah, I gotta say, what more? I gotta say something. Message box show operator plus op is not a valid operator. Operator error. And I'm going to put little quotey quotes here, little single quotes here, just in case the guy didn't type anything in. That's possibly didn't type anything in. And then return false. Otherwise, I can return true. Okay, so that tests everything. That tests all the valid data. All right, so I guess I can go up here and start. I got to do the button click thing. Calculate. So here's calculate, and then I can say try if is valid data, then decimal operand equals convert to decimal text operand 1 txt, and string op equals text operator txt, decimal operand 2 equals convert to decimal text operand 2 txt, I don't know. I got to do some sort of thing here. Can I do a switch? Do a switch? I don't. I'm not. I don't do a lot of switches. So do I put in parentheses? Op. I can never remember the syntax of a switch. So I'm going to do if operate op equals plus then result. I got to declare a result here. Declare a result. Decimal result equals 0 or something, doesn't matter. Then result equals operand 1 plus operand 2. Else if op is equal to minus, I gotta do double, then result equals operand 1 minus operand 2. Else if op is equal to times n, result equals operand 1 times operand 2. Else, we don't need to do anything. Result equals operand 1 divided by operand 2. And then I can say result equals, and we can round this thing, math round result 4. Make it 4 decimal places. And then I can say text result txt result text equals result toString, I don't know, doesn't matter. It's that. And then we can set the focus back to operand 1. I got to do some catching. Oh. Now, I don't really need to do anything. I don't really need to do an else here because it's taken care of down in here. It's either going to be taken care of down in there, or it's going to be taken care of by a catch. And I can do a catch exception EX, and I can just do message box show EX message plus this. I guess this works. Plus, and then there's some other stuff for EX get type toString plus EX backtrace exception. It's a title. Whatever. Okay. So I don't know, this might work. Run it. Five times 50 equals 250. Yeah. 5 divided by 50 equals, yeah, 5 incorrect operand equals 5 minus 50 equals, that's right, 5 minus xxx equals, all right. So I guess that works. I just gave you the whole solution. All right, so anyway, so let's create another. Let's try to do. Let's see, that's data validation. Test scores. How about if I do the list version of test scores? So you guys can do the array version. So that would be arrays and lists. So we got to make something that looks like this. So let's do a new project. It's getting late, man. It's a Windows Form application. Test scores list. And so I've got to make something that looks like this right here. So let's do, it should say score calculator up there. I'm going to do a label. And I'll make this label be font 12. And I'm going to make it say score. And then I'm going to have a text box. And I'm going to make the text box be 12. And I'm going to name the text box txt score. And then I'm going to make some copies here. For this will be score total. And this will be score count. And this will be average. So let's make this say score total. And we can move this back a little bit. And this is going to say score count. Score count. And move this back a little bit. And we'll make this say average. And this is going to say, this is going to be txt score. This is going to be txt score total. Txt score total. And this can say txt score count. And this can say, let me move this back, txt average. And then I need a button, making it 12. Display score. And I'll just leave it at that. Guess I'll make it bigger. BTN display scores. And let me make it a little bigger. 12. And you can fiddle around with, you can do the other ones. Okay, so, oh, I gotta have an add button. Add. And I'm gonna name it BTN add. Okay, so, first, okay, I'm gonna skip the exit. Oh, I gotta, am I doing an is valid data? Okay, I'm gonna let you take care of the invalid data, okay? So I'm gonna let you guys take care of the valid data since you know how to do that already. So I'm gonna double click on add. And in here, I'm gonna say try. I'm gonna say if is valid data, okay, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna sit down here, I'm gonna say private bool is valid data, return true, okay, and you're gonna fill that in. Okay, so is valid data, I'm gonna say int score. Oh, I better do some initialization here. I'm gonna say int total. This is going to keep track of the total equals 0, and I'm going to have to define a list. List int an integer list of integers is going to be called scores list. It's going to be a new list int a new list int like this. That's how you declare it. Okay. So this is my scores list. So inside here, I'm going to say int score equals convert. Let's assume we already know it's correct because we just did valid data. To int 32 is fine. Text score txt, that's right, I guess. And then I'm going to do scores list. So I'm going to add the score to the list, and then I'm going to add the score to the total. And then I'm going to say int count equals scores list count, because the list is going to keep track of the count. So each time you add this to the list, it's just going to add to the scores list, and then I can just grab the count out like that. I don't have to keep track of it separately. And I'm going to compute an average here equals total divided by count. Grab that out, and then I'm going to say txt scores total text equals total dot toString, and I'm going to say txt score count dot text equals count toString, and I'm going to say txt average text equals average toString, and then I'm going to put the focus back to adding in a new score. And then I'm going to have a catch here. I'm just going to say, and I want to, yeah, you can fill this in. Why is it on that? Oh. And you can put the rest of the stuff in there. Stack trace and everything. Let me see. I need to have some sort of display out the list, right? So button display, I got to do the display thing. Times it. Ooh, it's late. I'll go here. Let me double click on this. And this has got to say scores, list, sort. I want to sort this. Just sort it like that. String. This is what I'm going to use to display out. Scores, string equals nothing. Then I'm going to say for each int I in scores list scores string plus equals I dot toString. Put a return. Message box, show scores string sorted scores. All right. So you have to make this. See what this looks like. All right, 10, 20, 30, 40. Display scores, 10, 20, 30, 40. What do you think about that? Oh, and it's 301. All right, so that's the list. That's the hard one. You should be able to do the array. It's a little bit more, but you declare an array up here, and each time you insert something into the array, and when you're displaying out the scores, you loop through the array and grab them out, and display this thing. And you got to make an is valid data just like you did for the other one. Just like we did for the other one. All right. So are there any questions? Okay, great. Thanks for watching.